Here it is, folks, the double premiere of WandaVision. The first 2 episodes, I'm reviewing them for you. Let's not waste any time. We are breaking down the first 2 episodes of WandaVision. My review is a little bit late, but hey, better late than never because we've got a lot to talk about. Let's get into episodes 1 and 2 of WandaVision. Or as they said, it's time to get weird. Episode 1 of WandaVision had a really cool aesthetic to it. Right from the very start, I knew that it was based on the I Love Lucy show, which I watched a lot as a kid with my mom and grandmother in reruns. I'm familiar with the premise and the style of humor more so than anything else. Episode 1, like I said, it had that amazing I Love Lucy aesthetic to it, down to the dialogue and delivery. The laugh track was recorded in front of a live studio audience for authenticity. The theme song and opening sequence was definitely a beautiful homage to the 1950s sitcom style, and it's something that I really like and enjoy seeing brought back because, as I said, I watched a lot of those Nick at Night type shows with my mother and my grandmother as a young child, so I do have fond memories of that. The point in the plot that has Wanda and Vision both forgetting what their special day is really resonates as someone who watched reruns of Lucy, because Desi and Lucy always had this ridiculous type storylines, or their back and forth dialogue would be, they were both trying to figure out what the other one was saying, and they wouldn't just come out and say what they wanted to. They had to beat around the bush, obviously for comedic reasons, and that's why it's done here. But it's also an Easter egg, the fact that they can't remember these things, that pays tribute to what happened in Infinity War, because there's things that are blank, because this is a made-up reality that Wanda created herself. So there's those issues there as well. Catherine Hahn's Agnes may or may not be a take on Agatha Harkness. I believe she is. Former governess of Franklin Richards, speaking of Agatha Harkness from the comics, son of Reed Richards and Sue Storm, was one of the original witches from the Salem witch trials. Although, I believe they'll wait a few episodes before revealing if that's actually the case. And of course, there's that Easter egg with her dressed in the witch costume from the original trailer. Vision, being the classic fish out of water in his office, made me laugh, especially when he was trying to figure out what exactly they do at Computational Services Inc. Just a funny little gag. The "I'm a normal carbon-based life form" line, that gave me a little bit of an extra chuckle as well. Also, Mr. Hart calling him Vision, funny because he makes a crack about a coworker being a beatnik because he wore a turtleneck, yet his name is Vision. It just kind of seems funny that you wouldn't question the name Vision, but somebody who wears a turtleneck is a beatnik. But you also have to remember it's a product of the times. But if somebody was named Vision in America in the 1950s, their parents would pretty much be called beatniks or weirdos. I don't really think they had hippies back then. I don't really think there was hippies in the 50s yet. Vision's boss, Mr. Hart, played by Fred Melamed, and his wife, played by Deborah Jo Rupp, are joining Wanda and Vision for dinner. This leads to a confusing phone call between Wanda and Vision, where they get things misconstrued. Vision's trying to tell her they're having company. She's thinking he's talking about their anniversary, and this vague, misconstrued conversation over the phone, it like I said earlier, it kind of annoyed me because I know it's a plot device, but it's just like, come out and say what you want, but this is obviously written this way. This doesn't happen like this in real life. And it made for a funny scene when Vision's boss, Mr. and Mrs. Hart, showed up, and Wanda is dressed in a negligee. The Toastmate 2000 from Stark Industries was a freaking hilarious commercial because it was a callback to the way that things were advertised in the 50s. Is your husband tired of you burning his toast? It's before the whole women's rights movement and everything. But it was a fun little Easter egg, being it was from Stark Industries. And so is Vision, basically. The Hart's coming over for dinner, and the conversations they had are funny, especially when Mr. Hart basically calls Vision dumb during a riveting conversation about what kind of forms they produce. Also, Paul Bettany as Vision singing Yakety Yak was great. I always liked that song as a kid. I just thought it was funny. And not to mention him playing the ukulele and singing Old MacDonald with Deborah Jo Rupp. Mr. Hart, when he starts choking during dinner, Wanda having to tell Vision to save him, that was a very dark moment. You could see that she kind of snapped out of the fairy tale like existence that she's created and kind of was right back into reality and she, save him. Like, we're not going to let this guy die here. So it was very neat, though, to see it go very dark because both of them were just kind of sitting there as he was choking. Deborah Jo Rupp acting nonchalant and just telling him to stop it was kind of funny, and as I said, it played into the darker overall tone of the scene. The ending sequence as the sitcom ends and we get the reveal of the sword agent in the control room watching on the monitor was a very cool touch. And it reminds the audience that the silliness is only going to be there for so long because there are these external forces playing in and trying to get Wanda's attention and pull her out of this because they think somebody is doing it to her. And that's what you hear these constant, the sonic booms are. It's Sword making noise to try to get her attention. As they said, they think she's being attacked by some entity. And the reality is really bleeding into this pocket reality that she's created to cope with the events of Infinity War and Endgame and so on. Alright, so my final thoughts on episode 1. The silliness of the 1950s aesthetic was a really fun touch in my opinion, and a great look for the premiere episode. Even though I believe it took some fans out of it, for me, it really drew me in because these actors have a great dynamic together, and even though they're an odd pairing, I really like them together, and I like Scarlet Witch a lot. Elizabeth Olsen she's great in the role. It was so well done with the goofiness and the aesthetic, the overall tone and look of the 50s aesthetic of the episode. You almost forget it's a Marvel show for a few fleeting seconds here and there. But then they do something to rein it in and totally remind you where you're actually at. Kathryn Hahn is a home run no matter what project she's in or role she takes on. Her talents definitely utilized optimally here, especially in the throwback settings such as the 50s, because she's such a great character actress. I especially love the Stark Industries commercial. The ending sequence, when it's revealed that unquestionably Sword is watching Wanda, keeping tabs on her, and we keep getting all these little Easter eggs that they're trying to contact her. Bettany and Olson definitely delivered the goods to kick off the series. In this case, it was the comedic goods, with a few moments of seriousness sprinkled throughout, but overall, it was really good. Episode 2 starts off with another black and white opener, and they're both afraid of a sound going bump in the night, which is really funny because Wanda basically beat the shit out of Thanos, and Vision is, pretty well, almost perfect. But they're seen in the old school television trope, especially from the 50s and 60s, of the husband and wife sleeping in separate beds. But Wanda slides them together, and all of a sudden, they're one bed, which is kind of funny. And then they do the old school couple about to have sex trope, and they pull the sheets up over their head, and that would be where the studio audience would give the ooh kind of thing, We have that great opening animated credit sequence with the nod to Bewitched, with Vision going through the shower and Wanda in the supermarket, and you see it's actually Monica Rambeau. Yeah, and the opener's funny as Vision is kind of practicing his little magic act in the living room, with a little top hat on and his little coat. It was just kind of funny. And as she's preparing to leave, she hears this strange noise, which is one of the sonic booms, and she walks out, and everything is in black and white still, mind you, and sees the little red, yellow, and gray Sword helicopter in the bushes in front of the house, in her rose bushes. That's in color, but everything else is in black and white. Wanda's introspective moment is, of course, interrupted by Agnes, as her comedic timing is nothing short of impeccable. They're on their way to meet with Dottie, who's basically like the boss housewife in the neighborhood, kind of like a Stepford wife type before Stepford wives were a thing. And they're meeting her to discuss this talent show, which is a fundraiser for Westview Elementary School. And they keep repeating, it's all for the kids, it's all for the kids, or it's all for the children, one of those two. Vision, attending the neighborhood watch meeting, quote unquote, gets gum stuck in his gears, and it makes him act as if he's drunk. I believe that was kind of a callback to like the Dick Van Dyke type thing. Wanda helping Dottie clean up after the meeting. During their conversation, a voice comes through the radio and says, "Wanda, who's doing this to you?" That is Randall Park's character, Agent Wu. Then she, of course, makes the radio explode. The glass blows up, cuts Dottie's hand, and you see everything's black and white, but her blood is very red. It really stands out because everything else is in black and white. So it was a really cool effect. I really liked the Hydra Strucker watch commercial. That was just another neat little Easter egg they throw in there. And all these commercials are probably going to be like that through the course of this series.
Strucker, he'll make time for you.
Of course, Vision is late to the talent show. He shows up, quote unquote, drunk because of the gum in his gears, and they do the little animated thing where they show that. This forces Wanda to take the lead, and when Vision starts using his powers, she uses magic to counter it and make it look like normal illusion type stuff. Dottie loves their act, and they're declared the winner of Comedy Performance of the Year. They return home with their trophy. Wanda gets up and it's revealed she's pregnant. Their kiss is interrupted by one of these sonic booms. They go outside. Pending some investigation, they hear the manhole cover opening, and this is where you see the AIM agent crawl out of the manhole cover, the beekeeper suit. He looks right at Wanda. She says no, rewinds it. They go back in, they kiss. Boom, you see the belly bump. She's pregnant, and everything slowly turns to color, which means we're going to start breaking into the 1970s era of the show now. We close with the Sword agent watching them again, and we hear Wu's voice again saying, Wanda, Wanda, who's doing this to you? Who's doing this to you, Wanda? And that's where we end on episode 2.
Wanda, who's doing this to you, Wanda? Wanda.
My takeaway from this episode, my final thoughts on it as it were, another good episode. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Marvel fanboy, because trust me, I have been very critical of the things that Marvel has done and are currently doing and some of the creative decisions they're making. This, however, is a very, very good show so far. I don't think that the normie crowd will really jump into it head first right now. They're probably going to have to binge watch it all together and see exactly how it progresses and breaks into the more Marvel type stuff as opposed to this sitcom type stuff. But as I said, somebody who's 40 years old, I remember watching these shows as a kid in reruns, of course, a lot of them, on Nick at Night with my mom. And I absolutely love it. I do. I'm a huge fan. Or if you're just a television fan, historian fan in general of some of this stuff. But yeah, having seen a lot of Bewitched and a lot of I Love Lucy, I think it's very cool. And I really like Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany's dynamic on screen. They play very well off each other. Catherine Hahn, of course, is solid. And we got the character of Geraldine is Monica Rambeau. She doesn't know why she's there. It's going to be very cool once we see all this come to fruition, and I am just so excited to get more of this show. They've got me hooked already after 2 episodes, not gonna lie. Is it perfect? No, but is it really fun? Absolutely. And they said it was going to be weird, it was going to be trippy, and that's exactly what it's been so far. I'm very optimistic about the way this show will lead into Doctor Strange 2, the Multiverse of Madness. But now it's time for your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below, and let's close it out and we'll do the thing, shall we? Alright, so it's time to do all the things. You know what I usually ask you for at this point in the video. If you're still watching, thank you. Hit that big subscribe button that's floating above my head inexplicably. I don't know how it got there. The magic of cameras, I think. I don't know. And also, bitch slap the like button for me on your way out the door, if you will. And yeah, that's it, guys. Have a great day. I will be back Monday with my Batwoman review of Season 2, Episode 1. Also tomorrow afternoon, stay tuned for my Prodigal Son review of Season 2, Episode 1. That's ahead. Plus, Episode 135 of the podcast Monday night, featuring Kendo Slice, Nick Utam, my co-host Tony Tonedeaf, and myself. Oh, we're going to be talking a lot of fun stuff. It's all right here on the Place to Be Reviews. I'm E. Tepakui, and I've been here with all of yous. And remember, if I don't see you, have a great day, a pleasant tomorrow. I'll catch you on the next one.